Well, welcome to the Evil Game Design Challenge number 5 on Casual Connect Asia. The Evil Game Design Challenge has its own history, and I'm actually the first time moderating this. The moderator, Scott, who usually runs this show, is very busy, and I will tell you in a second why. I'm your host. I'm not talking here about the challenge we have. I'm just introducing our contestants and how this challenge works. I can explain that to you. We have 3 contestants here, which is Nikki Assavathorn. I hope I spelled that last name. Okay, thank you. Matt Hall and Gabby Dizon from 3 companies, all 3 successful in the business, and I'm very looking forward to what they have to show us today for the challenge. But let me explain what this is all about. First, my name is Weidemann. I'm in the business since I left school a long time ago. If you want to know who I am, you just can Google me. I just run the show. You know, these are our 3 stars, so I want to introduce myself a lot. But the important thing here is, and I promised Scott to say this, Scott is usually running this, as I said, and he said I should write you this. He's busy counting his money. I'm just joking. He's just founded a company, and he's busy moving in. Good luck, Scott, with your endeavors, so he can't be here.
But bigger piles of money.
Yeah, Scott is usually running this in a really funny way. I will miss him here, but you know, I promise him a shout out, so say hello. And is this on camera? Hi, Scott, I kept my promise. Okay, so let me tell you what this is all about. It's called Evil Game Design Challenge, which actually led someone writing this small little message here. Why evil? Why do you promote free-to-play as being evil by running this challenge? There are reasons for that. There are reasons why we want to turn something evil, because we want to overdo things. Overdo things in free-to-play gaming. Free-to-play in Asia is standard. You guys don't know anything else. While we in Europe and in America actually have all this old-fashioned console and PC AAA business who are running retail. And we have a lot of discussions about free-to-play being evil, ripping off people, and all that other crap. I say crap because I'm a huge free-to-play fan. I'm in the free-to-play business since nearly 7 years now. But this discussion, as you see, you know, is firing all sorts of messages. Free-to-play gaming has a lot of advantages, disadvantages, we all know that, and there's a challenge for companies who are not used to free-to-play to turn their thinking into free-to-play. If you ever had the challenge to work with a classic industry developer who is running retail business and they are doing their first free-to-play game, you have a lot of very silly discussions. And to turn their mind to the right track, it's a good way to actually overdo things, like go really beyond what you should do, so that they can see what the other end of the scope might be. And this is part of the reason why we run this challenge. To help people who are just converting their normal business, either console AAA or indie, you know, into free-to-play, so that they can get their heads free to actually run this. This is a good example of a very classic AAA company trying their luck in free-to-play. If you haven't heard what happened here, you can read it all up in the internet. They turned a really interesting IP into a free-to-play chaos. That's not the way you should do it. Actually, that would have been a really good winner of the Evil Challenge. But I didn't mention the company yet, you know. Well, still, although free-to-play is 15 years old, we still have a lot of companies out there who are trying to rip off people. I don't say names, and there are many evil things happening in these games, but on the other hand, there are many, many successful companies who are doing a really perfect free-to-play business and are very successful. Actually, they're driving the business now, which is really cool. So let's get evil, and let me explain what this challenge is all about, so the 3 contestants can then blow your minds. So what we do is that we pick 3 contestants, and they don't know what they're getting into. So I'm really lucky to have these 3 people here on board. Then we actually throw them a topic. So we give them a challenge. This time we give them a classic paid app on mobile, very successful, with the challenge to actually turn that into free-to-play. And we ask them, they can actually go over the edge if they want to. So whatever they do with the game, we don't care. Just what would you do if you would be president of this company and you have the challenge? We want to go free to play now. And the reason why we open that up is that we just want to see how far they could go. It should be realistic. It should not be unrealistic. You can go evil. You can go crazy. Whatever. We don't care. And the good thing is that whoever of these three wins, you decide. So you listen to all three of them. Every one of them has 10 minutes with their talk. And after that, we will have an applause for all three of them. And whoever has the biggest cheers will get the Award of Excellence, which is actually a cat. So the first contestant, Nikki Assavathorn, is a really complex last name, sorry, from Infinity Level Studio, was really nice to join us. So thank you very much. She will introduce herself shortly if it's her turn. Then Matt Hall, which you should know, he already had his talk this morning, I think. You have? But you didn't tell me yours. I asked them for their Twitter account and nice pictures because I actually told them I will use pictures from the internet. This is a picture I found in the internet from you. So there you go. You didn't send me one. And Gabby, of course. Is it you? You see, I messed up my slides. It was a late night. So I will correct this really soon. Yeah. So this is Award of Excellence. Actually, I won Evil Game Design Challenge 3. So you can actually have that cat as well. It's one of my best trophies. So the three contestants will introduce themselves, what they are and who they are and what they did so far, and the cat is actually the winning theme. But the topic we gave them is Angry Birds. Everybody should know Angry Birds. It's the most successful paid app on mobile, or one of them, but somehow free-to-play took over the world. There are all sorts of new things you might talk about on this topic when converting free-to-play to Angry Birds to free-to-play. But we will see what the contestants will talk about if they, ARPU, lifetime value, or just different things. We'll see that. But here's the thing: when we talked about on email a little bit, and I saw that, this is basically what we came about. So in 2009, Angry Birds was released. Angry Birds is one of the biggest IPs on the planet for mobile. They have theme parks, selling plush toys, tons of stuff. But somehow free-to-play came and took over the world. And Rovio somehow missed that train. So somehow Rovio still does not have success on free-to-play. So we just ask our three contestants, maybe they can help them. And now Rovio is not paying us, but if they see this talk and then are suddenly successful because they learned the hell from the expertise here, maybe they can actually send some money to us for. I get a little share. We'll see what Rovio thinks about it. Maybe they can have a talk at Kettle Connect now. What we learned from the Evil Game Design Challenge, Angry Birds to free to play, and how we did it. That would be a really nice thing. So, welcome to the Evil Game Design Challenge 5. I will just call. Is Gaby running first? Yeah. Okay. So Gaby on stage, and your talk should be on the desktop. Somewhere here. Yeah, there you are.
All right, good morning, guys. So before I start my talk, I want to ask you guys to judge us by nothing except our evil laughs, and here's mine. So I challenge Matt and Nikki to top that. So all right, let's get on with the next with the rest of the talk. So I think it's a fairly obvious title, but I chose Angry Birds Saga to kind of think about how we're going to turn the original classic Angry Birds into a modern free-to-play game. And Angry Birds Classic is a game that's close to my heart, to my evil heart, excuse me. And I'll explain to you why. So when it came out, like 2009, 2010, my son was very young, and this is one of the first games that he played. And so my kids were brought up on games like Angry Birds. And as a parent of young kids, I would give them games to play, some of them free, some of them paid. And what really bugged me was then, like, they would hand me the iPad because they would want to buy something. And of course, I would say no, then they would kiss me, then I'd have to buy it, right? So my overarching design for this talk is, what would be the things in Angry Birds that would cause my kids to go up to me and kiss me to buy something, and that would really annoy me. So that's what I had in mind. So let's go look at the core loop of Angry Birds, and actually I can show you the core loop in three screens, and let's go to that now. So you have a group of levels, and they're locked. You have to go through them one by one. So you enter one, and then you flick a bird. It goes through some pigs. There are some obstacles, and then you get stars. And that rinse repeat is really the core loop of the original Angry Birds. And of course, it being a paid app, it didn't really ask you, and I think this was released before in-app purchases were released. So it didn't really ask you to buy stuff. And if you look at Angry Birds now, it actually exists. There are power-ups, there are things that you can buy. But you could see that nowhere in the loop was really a reinforcement for you to buy anything, or any sort of friction. So once you paid your 99 cents, you could go all the way, just finish them. And just go about finishing the game. And there are some problems with that. First, so there's no currency, there's no economy. So I have no reason to kind of really go check out the power-ups, because the game doesn't give me anything except the stars. So for example, if I got some coins and maybe I need to go spend it on something and get a power-up. So the power-ups are there. And if you look at the screen, there's a bar where you can see what kind of like birds you can use to make the game better or stronger. But there's really no reason to use it. There's no social elements at that time. Like Facebook wasn't big, so there's really no reason to share anything with your friends. And there's very little replay value. Once you paid your 99 cents, you could go about playing one level or 10 or 20, or you could finish the entire game. But it didn't really matter because you've already paid your money. So let's just go through at least what the latest version of the classic Angry Birds app looks like in terms of what they're selling. So there are typical power-ups. So there are different kinds of like improved birds, for example, that can make hitting the pigs easier. There's a better type of slingshot. You can actually do some aiming. And then there's like an earthquake feature where you could like rattle the earth and kind of hurt the pigs a little. So you could buy that in like 20, 60, 140 times and 300. And you can see you can still make a fair bit of money how this is done. You can make, for example, $20 for 300 power-ups. But the problem and one of the core tenets of free-to-play is that if I enjoy the game, I have to be able to spend as much as I like, which could be nothing, could be $1, could be like $100, $1,000. But with the game giving me like 300 sets of power-ups for $90.99, that probably means like the most I'll really spend on this game if I were like a super big fan and not really good with hand-eye coordination is $20. So there's a shockwave, which is like really, really strong bird where if you flick it on the screen, it destroys the rest of the screen pretty much. And if you're really bad at hitting anything, the shockwave is a pretty good solution. So again, like you could buy 100 shockwaves for $60.99. And you know, if you were on a real power trip and you know I wanted to buy like 300 of these power-ups and then 100 shockwaves, then maybe you'd spend $30+. And then there's the Mighty Eagle, and the Mighty Eagle just pretty much really destroys everything in sight. And that's something you can buy for something extra. And that's really all they have as extra monetization for the game. So one of my first recommendations is to have some sort of economy for the game. So usually when you talk about economy, there's a soft and a hard currency. And when you go into free-to-play, you usually ask, you know, why have two types of economies? Why have anything at all, or why have not just one? And usually soft currency is something awarded regularly to players on a regular basis. It's something they can grind. A hard currency, it's something that you control much more. So whereas, for example, after every level, you can get some coins. If you have a second currency, be it feathers or gems or what have you, you give this out very rarely, and you give this out mostly to kind of teach the player to spend it later on and then withhold it so that they would want to buy the really cool stuff with real money later on. So my first recommendation would be for the base power-ups that you see, you can use soft currency to let the player get those. So every level you finish, you can give currency depending on how many stars you get, and then use the hard currency to buy the more powerful ones, pretty much the Shockwave and the Mighty Eagle. And then these are the level sections. So you can see each of the levels have kind of themes like Poached Eggs, Mighty Hoax, Danger Above, and all of that. And you can pretty much go to any of these and start in the levels anytime. This is what the map looks like once you get into the level section. So as I said before, it's sequential, and you get between 1 to 3 stars. It doesn't really matter in the original version of the Angry Birds whether you get 1 to 3 stars, except if you're the completionist type and want 3 stars in every level. So one of the ideas I got was to use the stars as currency, access currency. So if you can aggregate the total number of stars and use that as currency to access the next level, then the stars have meaning. For example, if you're here and to get to Mighty Hoax, for example, you need at least 50 stars collected from Poached Eggs. Then it means you cannot access the next level until you've collected enough stars from playing these levels. So here, see, I only have like 7 stars from the levels I have so far. So it gives me a reason to kind of grind through the game and go through all the levels to get more stars. And if you're a type of player who's okay with 1 or 2 stars, but you finish everything, but you don't have enough stars to get to the next level, then you'd have to go back and grind for 3 stars. You can spend hard currency. So if you're stuck in certain places and you want to power your way through without getting the stars, then you spend hard currency, which you get with real money. And then the boss levels should be the really last level of each section. You could have a higher star requirement, for example, for that. Okay, so yeah, so this is Candy Crush, and this is something actually that Angry Birds did later on in Angry Birds Star Wars. But the limitation of this kind of map is that it's very hard to show the progress of your friends. The reason that there are social elements in games is that it gives you a feeling, even though it's a single-player game, that your friends are playing this, it's pretty cool, they're 20 levels in, they're 300 levels in. And one of my recommendations would be, to turn the map into something more like this or this. If you have levels like this, for example, then you can show where your friends are at, what they've completed, and it gives you the feeling that this game is really good because someone is ahead. And then let's go to the core gameplay. So I didn't really want to touch the core gameplay of flinging the birds at the pigs. I think that was one of the things that Rovio really did excellently. But I think we can add a bit of monetization to this. Specifically in the game failed screen, I think this is a big missed opportunity. And the core loop is very fast, and then when you fail, you try again. And sometimes, you're in the middle of the level and you didn't hit anything. You already know you're going to fail, so you're going to restart it. So the element of tension that the level fail produces, I think, has potential for monetization. So my proposal is to add a bird. So usually you get 3, 4, 5 birds per level to flick at the pigs. And when you fail the level with your 3 birds and you haven't got anything, just show the option to add a bird for hard currency. And that gives you the opportunity, again, to use the economy, to buy something, and to give the player a certain chance. The near miss is a very strong psychological component that's used in games and in casinos. So that's why if you play some slot machines, you can see that, they give a lot of animation that shows you almost winning, but then you don't. It's all predetermined from the start, but giving that player that endorphin rush of almost winning is really very, very strong and gets them want to spend more. So this is something that you can use. So yeah, that's it. And remember the evil laugh. And vote for me later. Thank you.
He cheated. He laughed twice. So Matt runs second, and while he sets up his HDMI, he's actually talking from an iPad. I love this. You will notice there's no Q&A after each talk, just for equal fairness. And there won't be a Q&A after that. It's just that we will judge that simply because we will remain totally neutral until we heard all 3 contestants. I love Apple, so fast to set up. Okay, there you go, Matt. Stage is yours.
First slide might help. Hello everyone. I'm probably the least evil person here, having made one of the friendliest video games for quite a long time in Crossy Road. So attempting this was a bit of a challenge for me. So a very brief introduction. I'm almost 40 years old. I've been making games for 30 years and formed ClickTalk in 2008. And at ClickTalk I had 3 #1 games. And very recently created Crossy Road, which is my 4th #1 game on the App Store. So I remember when Angry Birds hit the top of the chart the first time very well. I was making games myself, and I didn't feel jealous. I didn't feel sad, or I wasn't angry that games were changing. I was just really excited when a video game came along that showed just how popular a video game can be. Like, everyone was playing it. I was living in Malaysia at the time, and the suburban shopping malls were filled with pirate Angry Birds toys and T-shirts. As they say, it's the self-proclaimed #1 app in the world. They've put it all over their marketing, and they're probably right. But I dug a little deeper into App Annie, looking at the performance of their recent titles and, of course, of the original Angry Birds. And there's a lot of games there that probably haven't done as well as they were hoping. So in the same way, with today's challenge, in the same way that we attempted to subvert free-to-play with Crossy Road, I'm going to attempt to subvert free-to-play for Rovio as well. And the heart of the issue is I want to make people fall in love with Angry Birds all over again before we start to do all the evil stuff. So this is the chart for the free version of Crossy Road from the debut in 2010, the debut in 2009. Sorry, let me rephrase. The game came out paid at 99 cents in 2009, but the free version only appeared in 2011. So this is from 2011 to present. Yep. So you can see it had a very, very strong 2011, sitting at the top of the chart as you would expect, and then it looks like that app has fallen out of favour. So this seems like common sense, but a lot of people don't actually realise this, that the most important thing for a free-to-play game is that people are actually playing it. It's very important to tackle this issue first, and as a developer, I'm willing to forego revenue in order to make sure that this happens. So we need a reason to get people playing Angry Birds again. We also, more importantly, need a reason for those that are playing it to tell their friends, hey, you have to come play Angry Birds again. Revitalise that franchise. So the first thing I want to talk about is what the app looks about for a newcomer. And there are people who have not played Angry Birds out there coming to the app for the very first time. Most of them are babies. I think just about everyone else has played it. But we still need to make sure that the app looks good when people go searching for it. So what happens when people search for Angry Birds on the App Store? This is what they see. So for Rovio, there's some good news and some bad news in here. For a start, the good news is that Angry Birds Free is right there in the lead position, exactly where it should be. But then they've also got this Angry Birds Paid sitting there at 99 cents. Like, which one am I supposed to download? And then there's Go and Epic, and there's one there called Angry Birds under ... which is terrible store presence. Like, that's no good at all. The other good news for them is the icon. The original classic Angry Birds is still the best one on there. But that's the one that catches the eye. Yeah. Ignore 2048. But, on the iPad, it's a similar story, but, why this HD logo sitting on half these things? And why does the paid version of Angry Birds HD cost $3 instead of $1 for the other one, when the phone they've got has more resolution than the iPad? They're instantly creating confusion. Like, which one out of those 4 should I buy? It's a very confusing entry point. And so that's the first thing I would change. Kill off the paid versions, kill off the HD versions, and just have one unified app that can be downloaded for iPhone and iPad. So there's just no hesitation. That's the one to buy. Now, what I would do, like Angry Birds Original is the most important video game they have on the store. It should be the most engaging. It should have the highest retention. Everyone should have that app on their phone, according to Rovio, of course. And they should be doing everything they can to make this happen. Once this is working, once Angry Birds is the app that people are playing every day, then you can use that as the springboard to launch all the various spin-offs they have. So this is what a healthy download chart looks like. This is Subway Surfers. You can see down the bottom, the most important part, each of those little speech bubbles, is when they've updated the game. So let's look over on the left here. You can see 1, 2, 3 updates on launch, and take a look at the top, what happened when they had a gap of 2 months there, 2.5 months. You can see their download, their chart position just really started to decline quite hard. If they hadn't updated at that point, they probably would have lost control of that app. Since then, they realised their mistake, they updated, and they've been working. They took 2 months to jump on, and then they've had an update every month for the last 3-4 years. Yep. Compare this to Angry Birds update schedule. The last 2 updates, were March 20, 2014 and March 18, 2015. Before that, they hadn't updated at all in 2 years. You can see what that does to the download chart when it's neglected like that. Rovio should be updating Angry Birds every month with no excuses. They should be putting new levels in at the start instead of tacking on at the end so that people can play new content and that new content is front and centre. So I want to talk about the spin-offs for a moment. Obviously there's a lot of Angry Birds spin-offs. There's Go, started with Rio, I think was the first one, is that right? Rio? I think it was Angry Birds Rio, the tie-in for the movie, and then they've had seasons, and lately they've been doing a lot of free-to-play spin-offs as well. So some have done really well, like Rio was a huge campaign because it was mixed in with the movie, got a lot of presence. And Apple are still promoting their spin-offs, but I think a lot of the goodwill from Angry Birds has been eroded by these somewhat more evil free-to-play titles. Angry Birds was always the best value app in the App Store. For 99 cents, it would entertain you for a very, very long time. But times have changed, of course. So now we have to go back to Angry Birds, the original, and make it even better value and win back the goodwill so you can start to drive people into their other apps. Yep. So they released a lot of spin-offs. They soft launched some of them. I'm not quite sure what the latest one was. I think it was Stella Pop, but then another one popped up in Australia that I think it was that one that was under ... And Angry Birds Fight popped out sometime soon. Like, I am someone who watches the App Store every day, am confused about which is the latest Angry Birds game. And that's no good at all. Like, they should be properly tent-poling these releases. Soft launching is really great for tuning a game's monetization, but a soft launch is really detrimental for hype. I would probably change up their soft launching, strategy and instead tease new releases, get everyone talking about what's coming, and then flick the switch and release it worldwide and get a really good burst on those new updates, on those new video games that come along. If Angry Birds Original, if we get that working again, that is the perfect platform for reminding players of these new spin-offs, and of course vice versa. The new spin-offs can then remind people of these monthly updates we're doing in Original Angry Birds. Now, in order to do that, we will need to build a system which properly tracks players' progress across the entire Angry Birds franchise. So what I would do is create an Angry Birds account. So if you go into Angry Birds Original right today, you do not see a Facebook button or a Weibo button front and center. Like, it is really important that the moment they start to play, you are pestering the player to, tell them about themselves, find a way of contacting them again later on. And once that's in place, once people have an Angry Birds account, you can start to do some very, very interesting things. As I said, like, you might download the latest Angry Birds app, Angry Birds Go, for example, and that might unlock a cool car-themed based level that you play in Angry Birds Original, etc. And of course, that car level in Angry Birds Original would let people know that Angry Birds Go has arrived on the scene. I would also create a social map extending across the entire Angry Birds franchise. So social maps are obviously very useful, are very successful in games like Candy Crush, where you can see at a glance, oh, my friend is on level 60 and I'm on level 30, or that friend's on level 200. How did they get there? If the social map extends across the entire franchise, you can see on that map when you open up to play this game that someone else has started to play. They've been playing races at the Angry Birds Go race circuit, etc. You can really start to push players around between the various franchises. Stepping back a little, back to that first slide, it was actually a bit of a mess with regard to which was the key Angry Birds franchises. So I would properly create a better delineation between Angry Birds, the original and best, and these spin-offs. Yep, using a colon. It's a if you spell it out this way, Angry Birds Go, Angry Birds Bad Piggies, people understand that that's the spin-off and Angry Birds is the original and not the best. You want to remove all that confusion when people arrive on the store. I would also put in a bit of a game changer in order to, if we make all this work in order to, like, introducing the social map, preparing a platform to start updating Angry Birds every day, I would probably introduce some big feature which gets everyone talking. I mean, let's face it, the green pigs are recognisable, but they aren't very cuddly, for example. And that's the heart of it. I mean, Angry Birds is from the moment they started selling toys, from the moment T-shirts started appearing, it transitioned into a children's franchise. Like, I would have been happy to download and have people see me play Angry Birds on launch day, but once it, there's T-shirts and toys floating around, it starts to feel like a juvenile property. Now, that's something you can't turn back time, but you can start to address this properly. Now, I know this is the evil game design talk, but monetizing children, you actually have to tread fairly softly. So what I would do is this. So you're playing Angry Birds. Instead of just cross-promoting all the other apps, you could start to cross-promote toys and follow that Beanie Babies type example where this toy is only available for the next 48 hours. That's it, and there's going to be no more made after that. And maybe there's a price drop. You're starting to create moments where people are forced into a decision, or even better, their kids see this ad and then will ask their mum and dad, can you please tap on the screen? I really want this limited edition Bad Piggy. Just tap the screen. Just tap the screen, mum. I would also hide toys within the game. So maybe if someone's completed an achievement, then that toy is only available through that portal that way. Make people feel special, even more special about their achievements. Now, you'll notice I've put the Touch ID thing in here. That functionality is not available through Apple. Like, you can't actually do in-app purchases in this way, but I would imagine it's coming. Like, I think that would be Apple's end game, is to allow you to purchase things with Touch ID in-app. Yep. All speculation, but yep. So yes, just summarising again what I just said. Give all those new players a way to express their love for using limited edition toy runs. Yep. So to sum up, step 1, more downloads, update monthly and introduce new gameplay elements. Step 2, you got to keep those new players playing every day and get people sharing every single day. And step 3, use the new friendly Angry Birds to become more evil through in-app purchasing, cross-promotion, just get people moving between the different games, properly announcing new spin-offs, etc. And as I said before, utilising that new technology that's probably, hopefully coming to purchase merchandise. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm happy that everybody is nearly like fitting to their 10-minute schedule, which is really nice. So just to have to find Nikki's.
Good morning, everyone. It's a great honor for me to be on this panel. And please excuse myself in advance if I'm making a fool of myself because of my lack of experience. So I'm going to be presenting Evil, Angry, Furious Bird, my own version. Just a little bit about myself first. I graduated in chemistry from Imperial College, and I was an oil consultant in London for a couple of years. After that, I found a dating company in Thailand, which got acquired recently. I started Infinity Levels, which is a game studio, about 2 years ago with Top Thanapon. We are funded by InTouch, the largest telco in Thailand. And we're about to launch our first game called Ranchon. It's going to be released worldwide next month under Pocket Play Lab. And the first day retention is about 60%. So this is my analysis of Angry Birds in a nutshell. Angry Birds is a single-player, low-skill game or luck-based game. It is fun when you release the finger and hope for the best of luck. It is a level-based game, so there's need a lot of level game designer. And the only way that you can monetize the game is with selling boosts. So anyway, this is my Evil Birds. There will be 4 different ways that I will use to increase the monetization. The first one is to make the game less luck-based and more stat-based. So it will require upgrading the birds, acquiring rare bird with gacha, and creating the best bird team. And then I will introduce the PvP, which is a user-generated levels. This is to keep players interested indefinitely without needing level designers. And the third, I will introduce resource management to the game, so there will be more upgrades and more frequent login to collect goods. And the last, but the most important, is the leagues. Competition is the key to monetization. In my Evil Birds version, the birds will become RPG heroes. The birds will have upgradable stats. They have HP, ATK, and range. Birds will have upgradable skills, and new birds will be upgraded by using feathers. Feathers can be collected from daily rewards. It can be won from defeating opponents. And upgrading will take time, so your feather can get stolen by attackers. And therefore, you must upgrade your defenses and protect your feathers. You can offer feathers to the bird god and randomly get new bird. You can offer gems, hard currency, of course, to the bird god for a higher chance to get rarer birds that are super powerful. Now we have gacha producing money, money, money. The game will start off with level-based gameplay to introduce players to the game without the difficulty of PvP. Bosses will give players long-term goals, but we will give out limited rewards as to move players to the PvP. While your birds are being upgraded with your hard-earned feathers, if your defense loses to an attacker, they may stop your upgrade and steal your feather. So there's a good incentive to finish now, money, or the cheaper temporary shield, a little bit of money. Your PvP system, you can build your own defense, you can protect your other feather, and strengthen the planks with upgrades, or you can buy temporary shield. Money can upgrade buildings to increase the limit of planks you can place. More planks means stronger defenses, means more upgrade, means more money. Money will reduce the waiting time to upgrade, and money can purchase additional builders. Smart investment. And my last one is the league. League gives players a small achievable goal every few days. This gives players a reason to spend money to become number one. Higher leagues give a bonus to the chance to steal feather from your opponents. To balance out, you can also upgrade a certain building that will reduce the chance that your feather will get stolen. So my monetization summary is there will be more contents for the gameplay, more upgrades win the game more than the skills. There will be more competition, and many ways to spend money. So this is a recap of the monetization opportunity in the game. There will be a lot of buying resources. You can get rare bird with gacha. Upgrading birds are difficult with the exception of spending money. You can upgrade your defenses and finish now. Thank you very much.
Okay, you heard all three contestants, three very different approaches. I loved all three. You heard a strategic approach, a game mechanic approach, and a more, let's say, neutral, horizontal approach. I liked all three. I guess Rovi will learn a lot by listening to this video. Just for that, it was worth the money, I guess. You will be the judge now who the winner is. It's very easy. I will place my hand on the head of the contestants, and you will give a round of applause how you liked it. And whoever got most applause gets the prize. Where's my prize? There's my prize. Can I have my prize, please? Don't laugh. This damn thing is only available on Amazon in the US, and we had to ship it over to here. So, you know, this is worth a lot. So this is... You laugh. There are only 4 persons in this world who actually own this because they actually had the skill. But, you know, that's where it came from. If you don't know the movie, go watch it. So we will now spend a round of applause. Here, kitty cat. And you will be the judge, okay? So our first contestant was, you know, Gabby, who had the hard time to be first. So let's see. What do you think about his version of Evil Birds? Thank you. Matt was second. What do you think about his version of strategy Angry Birds? Okay. First impression, I guess. Matt just won you out. You saw that? Okay. So, evil game mechanics version of Angry Birds. What do you think about Nikki's version? Okay, I guess it's between Matt and Nikki, so we repeat those two, okay. So what do you think about Matt's approach?
We might have to cut this cat in half.
Now, Nikki?
I buy everyone a drink.
I don't know.
I buy everyone a drink. Huh?
No bribing, no bribing, no bribing. I mean, if...
I could actually buy everyone in this room a drink.
Okay, one more go, okay? No bribing, and the drinks are on Casual Connect anyway, so, you know. So, they're cheating already. Evil mechanics. Okay, let's see one go. Okay, Nikki. And Matt. I guess you have to buy some drinks, Nikki.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks on me.
So, Nikki, congratulations. The audience decided yours was really evil, and I hope Rovi will approach you with your strategy. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for listening. See you next year.